Okay, well, let's get started. I just want to welcome you all. I see lots of faces that I have missed, and some new folks, and some amazing new hairstyles thanks to sheltering in. Mine is very long. I've already given myself one haircut. Hopefully I can keep that up. But welcome everybody. Thank you for joining me for this check-in today. As a lot of you already know, my name is Asaye FitzGerald, and I am the Director of Poets and Writers California office and our Readings and Workshops West program. And we are here today with Dan Tran Kong Nguyen. She is our Readings and Workshops Fellow, and she's going to be helping me with technical aspects of the meeting and helping to moderate our check-in and discussion time. I just want to double check my emails because a couple more people have not gotten the link. We're going to work out these kinks, I promise. Okay. And so one note, I see you are all mostly keeping yourself muted while I am speaking, which I thank you for. I'll ask you all to stay muted unless it is your turn to speak, and we will all have a turn, I promise. I'm going to try to keep this meeting to about an hour, maybe slightly more. We have till 5:30, but I don't really want to keep you that long, so I'll try to be brief in my comments. But I did want to introduce the mission, the goals of today, in line with Poets and Writers' mission, which is to foster the professional development of writers, to help make literature available to the widest possible public, and to promote communication throughout the literary community. We are holding this event. We have been holding community building meetings throughout California for many, many years. And now we are doing them virtually, of course. And I thought that this would be a good time for us to do check-in specifically for Los Angeles literary presenters.
Your sound is kind of warped up.
Oh no, it's warped?
Happened, so yeah.
Maybe if I speak more slowly.
Probably a twist in your headphones adjusted it.
Okay, great. Thank you for letting me know as I rambled on. So because of the pandemic and the necessity of sheltering in place, the work of our organizations have been challenged in many, many ways that too far to try to number at this moment in time. The upheavals we're facing are not only viral, but also social and political. As protests have mounted against racism, fascism, and police brutality, and with an impending election. Many of us are dealing with these trials in isolation, some with family and some not, while trying to keep it going, trying to make a difference and survive. This is a big load to bear. So I thought, let's hear from each other. Let's break the isolation, at least for this moment in time, and see if we can lighten each other's load by being in community. So let's check in. So the meeting format is pretty simple. I am going to call on each of you who are here today. I will call you by your name. And at that point, you will have 2 minutes to speak your truth and hopefully answer some of the points that I included in the invitation and that are up in the chat, which is to share how this time of upheaval and social isolation has impacted the work of your organization or project, what you've done to adjust or respond, if anything, what resources you found valuable or need, and possibly a project or event that you are working on currently. So we will have time for questions and discussion after everyone has checked in. But in the meantime, if you have questions that you want to ask, or if you think of things that you want to comment on or resources that you want to share, I encourage you to put those in the chat. For those of you who don't know where the chat is, it is at the bottom of your controls in Zoom. If you just click chat, that will open that window up and you can put your questions in there. When it comes time for us to have our discussion, we'll try to answer as many questions as we can from the chat, and also visually, I can see you all. You can raise your hand or make a sign. Okay, and so with that, I am going to ask our first presenter to give us their 2-minute update. And I'm going to call on folks mostly in alphabetical order, but I have a couple people who wanted to go early in case they have to leave the meeting a little bit early. So I'm going to ask for Gabriel Meyer, if you can unmute yourself. This is Gabe Meyer from the Ruskin Art Club.
Good. Thanks, Jamie. As Jamie said, Gabriel Meyer. I'm the executive director of the Ruskin Art Club, which, as many of you know, is Los Angeles's oldest cultural association dating back to 1888. So we've a long history of weathering various kinds of institutional crises. Although this is a very special moment for all of us. For me personally, this is, I think for many of us, has been a strange moment of grace in that I've managed to finish a book I've been working on for 10 years. And that's a great, perhaps one of the only blessings of this time. The club very much as always depended upon in-person events. This is kind of our style. The in-person event and the reception and the chance for people to really connect. So this is the COVID-19 crisis has certainly presented us with the problems that all of us deal with. We had an annual schedule of events set up, which we basically had to cancel. What we're doing now is we are launching many of these same events and different events as virtual events, which we're starting in September. So we have a pretty full schedule for the fall and on into next year. As I think many of us are finding that the silver lining in the situation is the virtual dimension is opening up our events to audiences and to people and to contributors that we have not had access to before. So it's a very exciting time, to really reconceive what events do and how to communicate with a much broader and more diverse audience.
It's 2 minutes.
Thank you, Gabe.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for pointing out the silver linings. Okay, next up, Alina Karina Byrne, representing also the Ruskin Art Club, but also the LA Times Festival of Books, among other events.
Hi, everybody. Gabe, I don't know if you want me to mention the events that we have forthcoming or how they, so what we've done is what a lot of people are doing is we've had to switch to, or we're going to have to switch to virtual events. So for example, last year we had a weekend conference, and that was at USC. So we're going to have to do one that's virtual. And so, how do you do a weekend conference? Same thing with the LA Times. And I was very disappointed to find out that the LA Times Festival of Books, because for that, I don't really quite understand this, but I guess I would have to see also, because I think it's to do with the setup, but they said they didn't have the money to represent the whole festival. They didn't have enough money. They're only doing, you know, of course, very key specific events, and everything else gets scrapped. So that means hundreds of writers and stages are being cut for the October Festival of Books that, as you know, was supposed to happen in April. I can send everyone the link for that, for those events. And then what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to work out with Beyond Baroque, hi Quentin, a way to still have the writers read maybe one poem, so that at least, and we'll put that all into one document, so at least they have representation, both you know, visually and in terms of their work. And then, you know, with the bios, if we have those up somewhere, we, you know, people can look them up afterwards. It's just, it's a shame, but that's what we have to do. Very quickly, I'll say too, I'm working on a series with Ramon Garcia that pairs, it's to do with Ruskin and some of Ruskin's principal ideas, pairing writers and artists with blue-collar workers, doctors, anyone that's in a field that we normally wouldn't.
Hi, Alina, you've reached your 2-minute time, so just wrap up your thought.
Okay, that's okay. It's just a really exciting series. For example, Sandra De La Rosa exploring LA history, space, and urban planning. So anyway, so that's what we're doing. And I guess like everyone else, we're just going to take it as we go along. I recognize most of the faces.
Thank you so much. That sounds like a cool idea for a series. And maybe if you have more information, you can put it in the chat about how we can find out about it. Okay, up next, we have, if Angelina Sands is here from Avenue 50 and La Palabra. I don't actually see her in the group, so we will move forward. I've invited Katie Porter from the Inlandia Institute, even though I labeled this meeting Los Angeles presenters. Katie is doing incredible work out in the Inland Empire, which is just next to us, so I wanted to make sure she was included. Katie, take it away.
Hi, everybody. Hi from your distant cousin out in the desert. And so Inlandia is in mostly inland Southern California, and we too rely pretty heavily on in-person events. We don't have a physical space. We have administrative offices. So every program that we do relies on a partner, a venue partner. So when everything shut down, our first response was, we thought, okay, we have to cancel things. But somehow I learned about Zoom right away, and we decided rather than cancel, we immediately transformed our events into online events. And we've had to be very creative in how we were doing these. We had a poetry summer camp that was slated to happen at the Garcia Center for the Arts in San Bernardino for teens. And we ultimately turned it around and made it a virtual summer camp. And we were able to include kids from San Francisco and New York. So that's one major advantage. We've also had to think creatively because we also publish books, and we had several launching during this period. One during Pride Month, it was an author's debut short fiction collection. And it actually, the original launch date happened as the George Floyd memorials were occurring. So we opted to push that back and to make space for what was going on in our community. And ultimately we had a really lovely launch, you know, for this book, Care Stories by Christopher Records. He's an LA author. Mhm. 2 minutes?
You
Okay.
can just wrap up what you were saying though.
Sure. Just, we've had to get really creative. So like San Bernardino Singing is an anthology of San Bernardino work. Liz Gonzalez is in it. We decided people were having Zoom fatigue and we didn't want to have one super long event. So we did 7 days of 30-minute events. So 7 days of San Bernardino Singing. So just think outside the box with what you're doing. That's all.
Thank you, Katie. I think because we have a few less people than I thought, let's bump our time up to 3 minutes. And that way folks have just a little bit more of a cushion. Sorry to everyone who has only had 2 minutes. There will be time to chat more near the end. Okay, so I'm gonna call on Cody Cisco next, representing Resonant Earth Publishing and Book Swell.
Thank you, Jamie. Thanks for organizing this. It's great to see so many of you. I think I'll say one short thing on Resonant Earth, but most of the time I'll talk about Bookswell. We had planned a short fiction anthology for Made in LA to launch alongside the Festival of Books this year, and that's been kind of indefinitely postponed, but we're looking at maybe trotting that out in October. So if we do, then that'll be something nice to focus on in the fall. But for Bookswell, so we're a literary events and media company. It's right now, kind of, we've accelerated toward doing our own content and online events, but I want to put the offer out there for everyone here. If you do have an event coming up, we can help you get the word out to our audience. We have an event tonight that's focused on horror as a genre, and we'll have 4 horror writers and editors talking about what it means to be writing horror when daily life looks the way it does at this moment. That's happening at 7 tonight. And so I guess I would say, you know, we're in a time where people are looking for interesting stuff to do. And I'm very open to collaborating and putting on events that might, you know, help people in this time of need. We've done a couple fundraisers now for BLMLA, and we're gonna do one coming up for APLA Health, which is going to be an erotic literature reading. And that's still very in the formative stages, but if you know of writers who might want to participate, then definitely get in touch with me. And I didn't use all my time.
Nice job. Thank you, Cody. Thank you for that update and for the offer to help people promote their events. That's very nice. You should take advantage of that. I'm going to call on, see, Hiram is not here. Is Jen Dees from Pan America here? Yes.
Present.
Yay.
Thanks, Jamie. Yeah, you know, in a similar position as many, a third of Pan America's revenue was live events based. So Pan America at large is facing a significant shortfall. We're working to make that up through rethinking a lot of our models and inventing new ones. We just tried a fee-based summer institute for students that are in that kind of, may have been doing an internship during, you know, the year between high school and college, that are interested in free expression programs. It was a big success. We're really doubling down on our free expression webinars and trainings on disinformation leading up to the election. We've pivoted to a ticketed format with our literary programs and combined forces on them, sharing the link to the fall event season there. And then the World Voices Festival, which has been bi-coastal in an introductory way for the last couple of years, went digital as well. Some great videos, playlists, that kind of thing. And we also launched a podcast, which was a weekday daily. It was a fun experiment led by our Director of Communications, Stephen Fee, and it's proven successful to the point that I think we'll pick it up again after a short hiatus this month. And that's featuring writers, poets. You know, we recently featured members of the Writers Guild of America West on issues that are affecting Hollywood, sort of across the gamut of literary celebration and free expression. So PEN, of course, welcomes cross-promotion. We have an LA area member list and an events list, and we always have space to promote partner content, partner events, or submissions. We also have access to, you know, a substantial hundreds deep EV alumni network. And so Cody, for instance, you know, the opportunity you mentioned is something that would probably be very interesting to many of our alumni from the fellowship. And we have dedicated social media channels to promote opportunities like that. So you always keep PEN in mind in that regard. Otherwise, we're looking ahead at, you know, launching some additional virtual conversation series specific to free expression issues and Hollywood, following a recent report that was just launched about censorship in Hollywood, or the censorious effect, I should say, of China on Hollywood's decision-making in writers' rooms. And I think that's about it. I can pass the torch quickly, but one small bit of good news to share is that we just got out of our lease, which was a big deal. I mean, landlords are in a pinch just like everyone else is, and it was a blessing that we were able to get out of our lease. The PEN America Los Angeles team is now comprised of Michelle Frankie, who most of you know, Amanda Fletcher, who manages Emerging Voices Fellowship, and myself. And we were all driving a considerable distance to get to the office that we weren't able to use. So we'll be switching to a remote working standard for the foreseeable future. And then New York will be retaining their office as well as DC. So that's good news. We were really happy that the landlord was able to negotiate with us on that, because it will really streamline our efforts and save us some money when we need it.
Thank you, Jen, for that that update on all the things that PEN is doing, both to survive and to contribute to the literary community and writers and free speech. I'll do a little update for poets and writers since we're in the J's. I'm Jamie. And I'll just say that all the public events that I get to organize on behalf of poets and writers in California will be done virtually for the foreseeable future. I'll be planning at least 3 more of these community check-ins. They will probably be for other regions in the state. And if I can, I will try to do another one, come back to do another one of these maybe early in the year, next year. I'm also going to be organizing 4 town hall style meetings with inspiring guest speakers. And the first one that I'm working on, I'm really excited about, is going to be on September. I should know this by heart, right? I put it in the agenda, September 17th. And I think you all know him, Peter J. Harris.
Yeah.
Renowned poet and culture worker, will be speaking at that event on joy and happiness as indispensable catalysts enzymes, and human rights work. I cannot wait to hear him speak on that subject. So I've been inspired by these times to really try to make these events as meaningful and helpful as possible, to challenge myself to speak to issues of social justice, healing, and solidarity. And meanwhile, Poets and Writers as an organization has been working to become an anti-racist organization in its structured programs and magazine coverage. So we are actively doing that work as an organization. And I think fairly soon, probably we'll be announcing some of the steps that we're trying to take in order to go in that direction. So I'm open to suggestions and comments always about ways that these meetings can be of use to you and to others. So if you have anything that comes up during this meeting, just put it in the chat because I'm going to be reviewing that at the end. Okay, so that's my update. And then next up, we have Jessica Ceballos E. Campbell, if she is here. Not here. Okay, so we'll go to Jessica Wilson, representing the Los Angeles Poet Society and Chucha Press.
Hi, everyone. Hello. Thank you, Jamie. So happy to be here, honored to be amongst all y'all, and so good to see you. So yeah, I'll let you know about the Chucha Press first, and then we'll get into LA Poet Society. So typically, we actually didn't have too much of a budget to be doing events, our press anyway, outside of our area to help promote our works. And a way we adapted during this time, during COVID, is we've had readings through our Instagram Live. We did Instagram Live, and we did a reading from Coiled Serpent, which was a lot of fun. And so we were able to bring our authors together. That, you know, where location wasn't an issue. So lots of authors really enjoyed that camaraderie. And we hope to continue that, because just that idea alone launched even more ideas, you know, just to continue that, because there's 150 people in that book, you know, so everyone could have an opportunity to share in an hour Instagram Live, you know. And also we could have discussions between authors. So there's so many possibilities. So we're actually excited about that. And that's actually a bigger outreach, I feel, digitally, that we didn't have before. And we actually launched a book in April. So right in the middle of it, Make a Poem Cry, which is our writings from prisoners that Luis Rodriguez had worked with and was teaching creative writing to for 2 years. So we were finally able to have that launch, and we launch only twice a year. So it was like, oh, we don't, you know, the impact wasn't, we had to get creative, right? Because all these live events were canceled. So we also did have a reading, a live reading of, I think it was a video podcast of Luis and the other editors, and just talking about the book, because they, you know, they have a lot in common, and there's a theme of the book of you know, men that were in prison for different reasons, and how they're transforming the traumas and different things that they've, you know, experienced. So that was another creative way to kind of engage with community and share and launch this book. So that's what we did. We are publishing another book in fall. We're having the reprint of The Wandering Song, which is a best-selling. It's been like sold out for a year. It's an anthology of Central American writing. So we're really happy that we had the capacity to do that. And also there's so much support from the authors. We had a GoFundMe that we raised. I think we were at $2,500. So that's going to be phenomenal to be able to promote it and just get it into more hands. So we're really grateful for that. But yeah.
Well, if you have
okay, I'll move on to LA Poet Society.
Yeah.
So with the Los Angeles Poet Society, you know, it was very, it felt very like everything just crumbled right when we all had to get quarantined, because everything is in person. All of our outreach, our community work is always in person, whether it's poetry workshops or open mics. And we had grown our open mics substantially, adding 3 new venues. And well, yeah, so it was difficult having things canceled. But through that, actually through my kind of, I fell back a bit. I just wasn't feeling good. I decided to ask for someone to take over our LA Poet Society Instagram, you know, for a week. And then anyhow, that was probably the most brilliant idea I had, because it allowed like so many different people to engage with community, literary community, and help build it even more, and show like different ways that that tool, that Instagram, can be used to be engaging and be fun. So I totally learned from them. And one of those Instagram takeover people is now a part of my team, like internal team, our media manager. So Ivan Sali, it's been a big blessing, just how that unfolded. And the other thing is just, you know, poetry contests, beefing up our website. We have blogs, we have articles. I'm gonna put them in the chat here. We've had online poetry workshops. We had one from poets and writers helped us see through. It was a classic poetry workshop. And so, you know, we are adapting. What we do need support in is, you know, like just grant support, either more writing skills and exchanges. And
I'm gonna have to have you stop.
okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you for that update. Okay, we're going to move forward to the next person, Liz Gonzalez, representing Uptown Word and Arts. You need to unmute.
You're still muted.
Liz, you're still muted.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So glad to see everybody. Actually, Uptown Word and Arts is very low key. And so with the pandemic, we actually became more active. The women's write-in, which is women meet and write for an hour, and then they would take a break and eat, and then share either what they wrote during the write-in or share something they wrote previously, or they would use us as a sounding board, just discuss their projects, process about their projects. And so with, we used to meet once a month, and then we started meeting once a week, and we increased. We had more people who were able to come because, you know, now we didn't have to drive. And at this point now, we have a group of 4 women who meet every week. And one week we have the write-in, and the other week we have where we workshop each other's work, and we submit our work to each other early on so that we can read it. And now I have just finished teaching classes and facilitating some workshops and some other work I had. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be collaborating with artist Jose Loza, who's here in North Long Beach. He actually lives practically around the block from me, and we're going to get lines from writers, including poets, that are anti-racist, that have joy, work that, you know, that is uplifting, work that it makes you think. And we're going to have these images go out. We're not sure how we're going to do it yet. And we also are going to collaborate on, we want to activate our neighborhoods. So because we live so close to each other, we're trying to think about ways to do that, of course, and whether we end up going in our front yard, see who, just, you know, the neighbors who want to go in their front yards and do something. Jorge, my husband, is a musician, so he has a great sound system that he can hook us up locally. So we're working on that. And I'm also arranging with senior centers, the senior groups, senior homes, to give workshops and to have readings by them and also readings for them. So that's what I've got in the works right now here in Long Beach. And the Women's Right and women are from all over.
Fantastic. It was great to hear that the pandemic has actually increased the activity of your groups.
Yeah.
I think that speaks to something about, you know, our lifestyle, and perhaps when this is over, we'll carry forward with some of these things that we're doing now. I hope so. Okay, so up next, Medaya Oker, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, representing LARB, the Los Angeles Review of Books.
Hi, it's Medaya Ocher, but I get that all the time. Hi everyone, thank you so much for having us, and thank you, Jamie, for putting this together. So nice to hear the way that everybody is sort of handling the difficulties of the past couple of months, and growing despite them. So I'm the managing editor of the Los Angeles Review of Books. I handle most of our operations, and like many of you, we have also lost a lot of money. Our advertising has gone down by about 50%, which has been a huge blow for us. And because we're also a nonprofit, much of our fundraising comes from live events as well. And so we've really had to adjust and figure out how to make that money back up from digital events. That I think has been quite difficult, actually. Partly because there's such a wealth of options that I think we want to figure out how to be different a little bit, or how to stand out in the many kinds of literary events that are currently available online, but to also figure out, how to encourage donation when economically and socially there are huge other problems that people are facing, that are not about literature or art, are related to it, of course, but there's a big strain on many of us. So some of the things that have been affected, we put out a print journal. Our printer fully closed and laid everybody off at the beginning of the pandemic, and that was really unfortunate. So we've had to readjust on that. Our mailing house closed also, so we had to readjust that too. But we're figuring out ways to. It's funny because we're also we're a digital magazine, so being online shouldn't be weird for us. But we're readjusting to doing things in a more digital way, engaging members on the digital front. If people have ideas in terms of fundraising and digital events and partnerships, that would be wonderful. We would absolutely love that. We're open to conversations and partnerships. And I think one of the best parts about the past couple of months has been that we do have a partnership program called the Channels Program, and that has really grown. So seeing engagement on that front and reaching out to other literary communities and joining forces on that has been really lovely. So that has been certainly a silver lining for us, I think. Thanks, Jen. So yeah, we had to transition doing the podcast remotely too, and that was a little bit of a shame also. But this is lovely. At least we now have the opportunity to make virtual connections, and that is nice.
Thank you so much for that update. Yeah, advertising, most print and magazines, including Poets and Writers, is taking a huge hit when it comes to advertising. So hopefully we can weather the storm. I do know that the payroll protection program, I don't know if that's something that the LA Review of Books was able to qualify for or applied for, but I do know that that was something that's been a help to some organizations. Okay, so let's move forward. Let's see who is next. We have Millicent Accardi representing the reading series Loose Lips. Millicent, are you there?
Hello,
Hi.
I'm here. Sorry.
No problem.
This is actually the second official Zoom meeting I've ever attended. So if I'm yelling too much, just please forgive me. I'm feeling really grateful for being with everybody and sharing our challenges and silver linings. I thought I'd just introduce me and my little series. I co-curate the Loose Lips poetry series in Topanga Canyon, California. And I thought I'd just read our little blurb. Loose Lips is dedicated to bringing a diverse array of the best contemporary poets to Topanga and to provide audiences and authors with a poetic form and community, delivering literary events which are edgy, spiritual, inspiring, and at times irreverent. So that's us, and we are sponsored by the Topanga Library, which is a county library, and they've been just wonderful to us. And we had workshops, and we had a special reading set up for April, and then the quarantine hit and everything fell through the floor. So I'm sitting on right now, I have 6 wonderful poets that have been scheduled. Originally, we rescheduled everything till July, and then that didn't happen. Being sort of new to Zoom and stuff, we weren't really sure what to do. The library is very committed to us, and we have a lot of local sponsors of the arts that are committed, as well as the local newspaper. And we signed up and went through a process with a partnership with the library to be on their Zoom meetings, and they have some Zoom, they record events and then they put it on their website. And that took a few months because they're still closed and they're still trying to figure things out. And initially we were excited until we talked to our contact person who explained that because it is a county library and instead of the event being live, it would have to be recorded and put on the website. And so they have a board, and for if we wanted to partner with them for Zoom and they would provide the channel, they wanted initial okay and I'll say it, censorship. They wanted to review all of the poets and all of the poems that we were presenting before the event happened, which is kind of the opposite of our byline, which I read to you first. So we're still, my partner and I are still kind of considering how we're going to approach it, and we've been a little overwhelmed by all of this as well. But as it stands, we have a partnership with the library on their Zoom channel. We're looking into maybe other, if anyone has a partnership or other ideas, but we're not really thrilled. The challenge right now is we're not really thrilled with the idea of having to present all of the poems and having them deemed correct or approved by a library board.
Hi, Millicent. I'm just letting you know it's been 3 minutes, so you can just complete one more thought.
Okay, I guess I'll just end there if anyone has some ideas for partnerships, and I appreciate the group. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Millicent, and thank you for sharing about your reading series, which sounds wonderful, and I need to go check it out when it's back in action up in Topanga. I hope that if anybody has any tips or ideas for Melissa about how to overcome this issue, that they'll share it in the chat or in the discussion later. Let's move on. I'm going to ask our next check-in person to be Muriel. Is Muriel with us?
Hi, I'm here.
Yay. Hi, Muriel.
Hi, I'm Muriel Leung. I'm the editor-in-chief of Goldline Press. And we are affiliated with USC. The thing about Goldline Press is that we have a rotating editor system where each year graduate students in the PhD creative writing program fulfill the roles of editors. And so it keeps things sort of non-hierarchical. There's not a lot, everyone gets a chance to do something different. But it also means that in terms of operations, there's a lot of changing of hands every year. And so me coming in as editor-in-chief means that I am taking on anything like a lot of residual work from previous year in the time of pandemic, which is a very interesting time. So one thing that we do every year is a chapbook contest in poetry, fiction, and nonfiction. And we have chapbook winners from 2018 that we're supposed to publish this year, but because of the pandemic, a lot of their books have been kept in store, are currently in warehouses right now because it's housed in USC and the campus is closed, so we can't actually get to the books. And so my first task as editor-in-chief was to figure out how do I promote these books that people can't even have access to. We haven't had a chance to even send them to SPD, so people can't even buy them from SPD. So we just have this extended pre-sale period where we're unfortunately asking a lot of writers, these chapbook winners who are newer writers who perhaps do not have many connections in the literary community as of yet. And we're asking them to do this work and we're trying to support them, but we're also trying to figure out what does promotion look like in a time of pandemic where resources are very stretched and there's a lot that's grabbing our attention at the moment, necessarily so. So trying to find that balance while also trying to find support has been really important. On our end, though, we try to give as much grace to our audience and our readers as much as possible. We are continuing a tradition of fee waivers for our contest, where we are specifically work with affinity groups that are affiliated with LGBTQ and groups that work with writers of color. And we are offering fee waivers for these groups as well as for those who have financial need. So, and we're also extending our contest deadline too for people who just, in this time of pandemic need a little extra time, need financial assistance to do the work they need to do. And we also are holding a reading series to try to promote the work in our back catalog, and Poets and Writers has been really generous in being able to support that reading series by helping us pay these writers. And so that's part of the work that we're doing to hopefully help promote the books that we can't ship out right now. But it is a learning process. We do have the good fortune of being affiliated with the university, so we don't.
In 3 minutes, so just wrap up your last thought, please.
Thank you. Yes, we are affiliated with the university, so financially we do have a budget that we work with, but we cannot do more than that. So we are privileged in that way, I will say.
Thank you so much, Muriel, for that update. Some interesting challenges there, for sure. I think next up we have Quentin Ring representing Beyond Baroque.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, everyone. And thanks, Jamie, and thanks for everyone for being part of this too. It's just really inspiring to hear everything that you're all doing. It's such a challenging, complicated time, and it's really great that you're all continuing on and just strengthening literary work we do in Los Angeles. So as for Beyond the Rug, it's sort of an interesting time. It's a very challenging time, as it is for everyone else. I took over officially last year, but really it didn't fully take over until February due to a sort of strange leadership transition we had, and sort of as soon as that happened, everything just sort of shut down. And so we're doing a few things as a result of that. One is we decided to move our workshops program online rather than really moving our reading series online. We've been focusing mainly on workshops. We have been continuing our free workshops online. In fact, Liz Gonzalez, who's here with us, just finished teaching the past few months. Right now we have James Maverick teaching for the next few months. We also have a variety of paid workshops online. I think that's been a good way for us both to raise revenue for ourselves, but also even more importantly, to get writers paid. I think the next paid workshop we have is Cassandra Lane teaching one for us in September. We also have a free workshop on August 15th with Yago Kura from the LA Public Library. That's going to be about library resources and using those for writing. And I think as this goes on, we'll probably expand our reading series a bit more online. We've had a few readings, not a lot. Conversations last night we had Harry Gamboa Jr., for example. But like I said, we're focusing mainly on our workshops. But the other thing too is, we're in the middle of, obviously, as we all know, like a huge reckoning with years of racism and white supremacy. And so I think it's one of the things we've been focusing on is internal, really going through our mission and our values and talking about what all of this means, and sort of working that through at a sort of a deep internal level at the board, and trying to put some thought into what that might mean for our programming and how we work with the community going forward. And that's ongoing. We hope to be sort of releasing all of that sort of, as Jamie was saying, poets and writers, the work they're doing, that'll be released sort of sometime hopefully soon, and really just thinking up new programs just in general in response to the pandemic, even after the pandemic, how that looks. I do want to mention too, we have a big reading on Tuesday of next week. We're a founding member of the National Poetry Coalition, which is a group of 25+ organizations that all sort of work to support poets and poetry in our culture. And that's each organization is we've all selected writers to read. It's a program. It's a protest reading in support of Black lives. There's a variety of fundraising that's going on as part of it, options to donate. And so people like Jericho Brown are reading, Monica Yoon, Seshu Foster, Martina Spada. It's going to be a really great reading. Okay. I'll put the link in the chat. And sorry about the feedback. I don't know what's going on. My computer actually broke yesterday, so I'm borrowing someone's computer, so I have no idea what's going on. Yeah, last thing I want to say is I really would love to work with all of you more. We're working through our internal sort of planning process right now, but feel free to reach out and talk to me about what ideas you have or projects or whatever. So thanks so much.
Thanks. Yeah, after the meeting, I will send out a roster of the folks who participated. So if there's anybody you want to contact about partnership ideas, you'll be able to do that. Okay, next up we have got, I don't think, is Ron here? Ron with Tertulia? No, okay. We'll move forward. And is Asaye here? No, Asaye's not here. Okay, so next up, Sally Shore representing Lit Crawl LA and the new short fiction reading series.
Hi, everybody. I am going to motor through this because I actually have another Zoom meeting at 5 o'clock. So Lit Crawl LA is coming back with a mini virtual series on October 24th, not only in partnership with Los Angeles Public Library, but also if you follow Litquake has been doing a lot of stuff virtually, and I'll send their website address. You can sign up for their newsletter. And on that same day, as it turned out, it just happened to sync out. They are hosting the first ever International Lit Crawl Festival. So each of the 16 cities worldwide, including for the first time this year, France will get a 30-minute presentation slot. We're very excited. It's going to be only 6 total presentations. So what we're doing this year is we're extending invitations to past presenters who've had a really good track record with us. So if you have presented at Lit Crawl, please watch your email for email from Ron Gutierrez. I'll put his email address in the link, and respond quickly because it's going to be great fun and on a huge platform via Los Angeles Public Library. As far as the new short fiction series, this year my venue was closed due to COVID, so I paused it, but am planning to coming back next year for my 25th year in a whole new format, which I'm excited about. So if you're a short fiction writer and want to submit for next year, I'll put the information in the chat. In the meantime, I've been doing Spoken Wednesdays every Wednesday on my IGTV channel. And for those of you who have little ones at home, for the last 15 years, I've been the host of Storytime at Hope Garden Center, which is Union Rescue Mission's community up in the hills. I haven't been able to go live, and I have bunches of like 20 boxes of kids books. So every day, Monday through Friday, since March, I post Storytime videos on Facebook. So if you have little ones, you can find me on Facebook. They're usually around 4 o'clock every day, and it'll give them something to do. And that's what's going on. Bye.
Thank you, Sally. I didn't know that about you, that you did the story time. That's so cool. Okay, I want to keep going here so we don't run out of time. Let's see who is up next. We're almost to the end, almost to the Sochi, but not yet. We've got Suzanne Lemus representing They Write by Night, which is a program presented by Poetry.la. Suzanne, you need to unmute.
Mute. Okay, we lost that. Got to start again. All right. Yes, we're talking about how people are coming up with creative innovations for to sort of push back against the restrictions of our times. And along those lines, some of you know the poet Beverly Lafontaine. Yes, Liz does, and Toby does. Other people do. She has a project very COVID related where she is going around the city taking photos of noted Los Angeles poets on their porches, since now we're all married to our homes and can't get out. And I think you'll be hearing more about this project. Today I'm involved with different literary organizations, but I'm going to be talking about Poetry LA. What we have done over there, they are now for the first time nonprofit. I think most of you know Poetry LA has hundreds and hundreds of video documentations of poets on their website, poetry.la. And also Mariano Zaro and Lisa. Do you remember Lisa's last name, Jamie? Lisa, she's great. I know 6 different Lisas, so I suddenly can't remember her last name, but they do good up close and deep poetry interviews with poets. All of that is right now on hold, and Wayne Lindbergh and Hilda Weiss of Poetry LA have decided they're going to keep the website going with my show, which is They Write by Night, bringing together poetry and film noir and poets who have poems that speak to the sensibilities of film noir, and it's a very noir time. It absolutely speaks to the era that we're living in, both in terms of the worldwide, you know what, and in terms of, you know, what is going on in the White House right now. All of that darkness surrounds us. So this pandemic gave me an opportunity, along with Wayne and Hilda, especially, it was somewhat my innovation, to rethink They Write by Night, where I usually appear in person. Now, the 3 of us were all so old and vulnerable. I mean, we were falling apart even before the pandemic struck. So we can't, the 3 of us, get together. We're in the, what do we call it? vulnerable, high risk, that's what it is. We are so high risk. So I've started phoning in the They Write by Nights. And Wayne, if you've seen any of these lately, if you've seen the last two, the one called Noir by Birthright with David St. John's poem, and the one with Manaz's poem, Manaz Sabahizata, called the World Pandemic, Love and Loneliness. You'll notice that the phone is out there, 1940s Bakelite style phone. My voice is coming over the phone. And Wayne is creating all these visual innovations since I'm not there. And I actually like it better when I'm not there. And I also like not having to drive to Santa Monica across town.
One more.
Is my time up?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so poetry.la, They Write by Night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. And I have seen one where your voice is coming out of the phone, and it's, if you haven't seen them, they're fantastic.
William Archila is the next poet we're going to be showcasing, and he's a great poet.
He is. Okay, so next up we've got Toby Harper from Red Hen Press, and then on deck, Sochi, Women Who Submit, but Toby first.
Alrighty, hello everyone. Good to see all your familiar faces. So we have been doing our best to lead into the positives of all this, right? Silver lining, because what else are we gonna do? So we've been also basically trying at everything that we adjust to think about how this is gonna help us in the future. Like not just like, oh no, we're doing this now and we're gonna have to go back to something, because I don't think we're gonna go back to anything. I think events will probably be somewhat virtual forever. I mean, at this point, I think online we have about 10 times the audience that we normally would in person, like at a bookstore, right? Because so many people are coming in from around the country and like other time zones, or who just simply like couldn't get out the house that day or something, right? So that's been nice. Also, our staff team of 9 is healthy and safe at home. Very glad for that. So we've shifted to virtual internships for any of our interns who wanted to do that. Obviously, there was a lot of adjusting there, especially at first. We've been using GChat. I guess I'll talk a little bit on what we're doing, but we're using GChat. It's easy and it's fast. We can communicate with the whole team pretty fast. There's also really fast screen share or video calls if you need to just communicate some training really quickly. We also have a 9 a.m. staff call every morning that helps us all kind of stay grounded and connected to each other, knowing what everyone's doing like in real time, be able to talk about it. Weekly Zoom meetings, classic. We've been donating books to NOR. I don't know if you know the location NOR in Pasadena, but they've been providing food to the community every Friday. So we've given them books to also give out. So we've been looking for places to donate books. But for the most part of what we've really been doing is pivoting really, really hard to virtual events. So we've been using StreamYard and Zoom. Anybody who wants to learn about them, I have pretty much done my best to vet every video streaming thing there is out there. And I can give you recommendations, not just like, oh, this is the best, but like this is the best for what you want. So we've been using StreamYard. There's pros and cons to all of them, again, depending on what you're looking for. But StreamYard so far is my favorite. We have a partnership with, yeah, totally, seriously, I will. We have a partnership with the Broad Stage that we've been doing, another one with the Annenberg Community Beach House. And besides those two that are partnerships we already had that pivoted to virtual, in terms of, I don't remember who was saying it, but in terms of partnerships, like if you're looking for partnerships, there are a lot of bookstores that do not have the capacity to do events virtually at all. And if you can learn how to do virtual events, you can connect with those bookstores and help them. Like Homer Bookstore up in Alaska is one that we were talking to them about an event because we have an Alaskan imprint, and they were just like, please God, no, like we can't handle it. And I was like, no, like I will do it for you. And we connected to their Facebook, we connected to their website, and we just did the event for them. So it's mutually beneficial, but they didn't have the capacity. So if you have a local bookstore that just like can't do it, like they have 3 staff members, right? How are they going to? They might really be grateful for that partnership. So again, willing to train anyone on StreamYard or teach you how to do Zoom or Crowdcast or any of those. I can also give advice on print on demand if any of you have lost enough of a budget that you don't have upfront budgets for printing anymore. There's a few print on demand systems that are actually pretty solid, mutually beneficial. Don't use Amazon Create Space if you can help it, please. Don't do it. Also local, I think somebody said something about losing of printers. Like I know some local printers, all of our printers are in the US at the very least. If you want some in Los Angeles specifically, I think I know some. And if you're in Pasadena specifically, you have access to Jericho Road, which is a really, if you don't know them, look them up. They are amazing. They only serve Pasadena nonprofits. But also if you're in any way connected to Annenberg Foundation or Annenberg Alchemy, they have a Catch a Fire website that helps connect you with other, with donors, with mentors, with anything else you might need.
Hi, Toby. It's been 3 minutes.
Thank you so much, Toby. I couldn't write fast enough to get all the amazing information and offers of advice down. I really appreciate you putting that out there. Okay, let's move forward with our last check-in individual, Sochihusa Bermejo, representing Women Who Submit.
Hi, everybody. So I'm a co-founder and I'm the director of Women Who Submit, and we empower women and non-binary writers to submit work for publication as an action towards gender parity in publishing. And from our onset, we've always had like a very lively online presence as well as in-person presence. It's like been our model from day one, because we've been really about like accessibility and people who can't come to events for different reasons. We've always wanted to have that information available to them. So I think that's really helped us in pivoting in this new reality, because I'm actually really thankful to say that I don't think we've had to cancel anything. So that was really exciting. Even we have monthly events on the second Saturdays where we hang out and we submit work. It's like a co-working space. And the first one was right before Safer at Home. Like that Saturday was right before the Monday when everyone had to go home. And people didn't want to cancel, and everyone's like, well, can't we just do it online? And so from day one, we've been having our events online. And then that led to doing weekly Saturday check-ins, which have been really helpful. And I can't believe we've been doing a weekly Saturday check-in for 6 months now. I mean, it's just pretty wild. And then because we've been doing those, that's actually led to like members kind of taking initiative and taking leadership roles. And now we have like these writing alone together sessions Monday through Friday that people within the community are hosting. And another member in the community wanted to do an open mic one Sunday a month. So we do that now. And it's been really cool because I've always really believed that Women Who Submit works best when people in the community are sharing resources and there's no like one person bringing everything and serving people. It's like everyone is helping each other. And so it's really made that idea really flourish in a beautiful way, which is really exciting to me. And one of the setbacks was we had proposed a big summer series that was going to be with like Oxy Arts and the Exposition Park Regional Library, and we had a grantor, and that grantor disappeared. But because of who I am, I just always like push forward, and I'm like, I don't know, we'll figure it out. Let's keep going. So when that happened, I was like, oh crap, like we don't have money for all this stuff. And but thankfully, Ashaki Jackson, who's also co-founder, she really worked hard to find some sponsors. And as other people were saying, like it's hard to get sponsors right now because we don't want to like muddy up the waters or ask for things when there's bigger, more important things happening. So one of the things we kind of did, our strategy was like to go to people directly, organizations we know, friends we have, people who may have that capacity to give a little. So yeah, we ended up having like a sponsorship with Natalie Diaz and ASU. Antioch was a big sponsor, and then like individual sponsors. And we were able to do a summer series. We had a summer writers workshop program, 3 genres, 4 classes, 4 sessions each genre. And this past Saturday, we had our first ever submission conference. Again, it was supposed to be a live event, but we moved it onto Zoom and webinar. And that was really exciting. And everyone got paid, which is always really makes me very happy. So yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for that update. Writers getting paid, that is what we want to hear. So thank you for making that happen, Sochi. Okay, so we are going to go till 5:30. I wanted to open things up to everyone. If you have any comments or questions for each other or suggestions, let's do that now, and just raise your hand and I will call on you because I can see everyone here. Or actually Dan Tran is going to help moderate this part. And also if you noticed any questions, Dan Tran, in the chat, just let me know. Quentin.
Yeah, thanks again, everyone. I just wanted to say that, you know, I really admire the work, I mentioned this in the chat, that Jen Dees and Penn America has been doing about trying to find funding for the literary field. And I'd really encourage everyone to either pitch in with that or also to really get in touch, particularly on the local level, with our representatives. You know, many of you have probably heard, I talked to the DCA recently. You know, their funding is tied to a hotel tax. All their funding comes from like a 1% hotel tax on hotels in Los Angeles. And that hotel revenue plummeted by like 80%, you know, as a result of COVID-19. And so the city really needs to find out a different way to fund the arts, essentially. And so, you know, the best way to do that is by talking to your representative and getting organized around that. Because it's all of us that rely on funds from the DCA are likely to see a huge cut next year. It hasn't affected budgets this year, but it will affect budgets next year unless something's done. So I just wanted to put that out there.
And I think Jen has her hand raised, so Jen, go for it.
I just wanted to thank you, Quentin, and I wanted to say it's a particularly important time to speak to our local representatives, particularly those that are in the districts 1, 6, 9, 10, and 13. So if you know what city, if you're in the city of Los Angeles, those are the districts that have representation on the COVID relief task force that is right now determining how that CARES Act money is going to get distributed, and what the investment is going to look like to arts and culture versus other sectors. And so it is a critical time to call, write, speak up. If you don't have a relationship with your representative, it's a great time to kind of introduce oneself. We found that these offices are shockingly accessible. It can be so intimidating, but we've had some great conversations since May with various council members or their representatives from their offices. And I'll share a quick link to a recent action alert from Arts for LA. They're doing a call to action to communicate specifically about the CARES Act funds. So I'll share that in the chat in a moment.
Thank you.
Jamie?
Yes.
I just wanted to ask, I kept trying to copy all of the chat and it's not working. I can't copy it. So will you have all of these links and things in?
Hopefully, yes, I will. We plan to copy the chat, and if I can, I will. If you would like me to, I can send that to you.
Well, either that, or if we could all have each other, like one group email with all of our emails, then we can reshare that information. Because I have a lot more information to share, but yeah, so that would be good, because I know that when Zoom closes down, you lose the chat.
Right. Yeah, and I will send out a roster of everyone who participated with your emails.
I can't hear you, Toby. It looks like you said something.
I was just saying that in the bottom right, triple dots where you can type a message, you can click Save Chat, and I think I just saved the whole chat. Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay, great. too. Thank you. That was a simple fix.
Katie, I see you have your hand up.
I was going to say something similar to what Toby was saying, and also that the fact that it's being recorded means that the chat will be available later. So
thank you.
That's it. Okay.
One more other quick thing, and then because I have to go. You know, collaborations also happen sort of spontaneously. I received an email from someone who, do you know Ram Divaneni? Do you know who that is? He's with a magazine called Radipalax. He used to be in Los Angeles. I don't know if he still is, but he has this wonderful program that he has started for social justice. And he's putting on, Beyond Broke is hosting one of his workshops for cartoonists who want to change the face of cartoons and cartoon magazines and all of that. And yeah, it's really interesting. And so he's offering a free workshop, and that just came about spontaneously. So I know we're really interested in interdisciplinary relationships, and you know, kind of, because I think right now, especially, we're definitely all sharing one world, and so we might as well find ways to you know, find relationships between the different arts and the different genres and different professions and the difference in organizations as well. So I think this is great, Jamie. We tried to do this like 20 years ago. Connecting all the different sort of local organizations, and I think we should try it again. Thank you for everybody.
Welcome. I see a hand raised. I see Jessica from LA Poet Society.
Hi again. Yeah, you know, I just wanted to, first of all, wow, thank you so much for inspiring me and just sharing everything that you're doing and the different ways you're adapting. It's really great. It's really great, just, you know, that we can learn from each other. But I also just wanted to say, I don't know if you get newsletters or if you work with the Center for Arts Eagle Rock, but one thing I've been really impressed with them, what they've been doing since even I think it might have been at the end of March, and that, to me, that's like a really quick adaptation. But they have lots of online workshops, and that are very specific, you know, like one, like, because it's just like the cartooning that I think you mentioned that, or illustrating, sparked that they'll have a cartoonist, and the next day would be maybe like some kind of like DJ doing something, and then clay, like, it's just so very specific, but very exciting and different that, you know, folks can just access, right? Mostly free of charge, just to be involved in that. So I just wanted to share with you, just to really think about what you do and all the different like elements that surround it, the different things that you're like, well, they come inside a theater and then they just sit back and hear a reading. Well, but that's not the only thing that's happening. Like, there could be you know, community building through stories that are happening, or people sharing editing tips that are happening, or people that are practicing or talking about art. I don't know, but you know what I mean? Like, look at the whole big picture of all the different interactions that usually happen in what you do, and kind of like pick them apart. And then these are your ideas. These are things that can launch your next possible grant or opportunity to continue to engage with your community and offer your services. So I wanted to share that with you, and yeah, get an LA Poet Society t-shirt. That's great. Also, I have a Poet Society t-shirt. I know, I'm like, shameless plug, right? But I have
oh, look at that! Amazing. That's a collector's item. We don't have those anymore.
Oh, and there's an awesome article that one of our members wrote about the poets and writers connecting culture. She has a quote from you. Definitely, the link's in the chat, but I'd love for you to
great.
Feel free to share it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I wanted to make sure that we have time for me to let you know that our Readings and Workshops mini grants program is in full operation. We are accepting applications for literary readings and creative writing workshops. Our grants are tiny but powerful. They help pay writers to participate in these types of events, and we are normally we only fund live in-person events, but obviously we can't do that now. So we are now funding virtual events. You can apply for virtual readings, virtual workshops. They do have to be live. They can't be pre-recorded and then broadcast at a later time. And our application window is 4 weeks in advance of the event date. You can apply that early. We've shortened it. It used to be 6 to 8 weeks. So we're trying to be a little bit more quick with our turnaround since these events are just kind of popping up all over the place. We have also waived the matching requirement. So we no longer require you to match what you ask from us. We're hoping that this will increase accessibility to the grants, enable more people to apply for their virtual events. And if you have any questions about the mini grants, whether your events qualify, how to apply, you can reach out to me anytime. I'm happy to assist you with that.
Suzanne with the hand up.
Yeah. I just
Yes.
wanted to say, not a question, just a comment, but has anybody found that an upside to all of this is that it's put you in touch with a bunch of other poets, writers, and organizers, other groups that you might not have met or know about? I know that it's brought a lot of more people, many more people into my world, just because it's easier to be at home and turn on the Zoom. It may in the long run, I'm hoping that something good comes out of this, that it's mixing the community together in some sort of vivid and creative way. Does anybody else? And I'm not usually an optimist. I'm a pessimist by nature, but I just wondered if anybody saw any good things materializing.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, just an example of that to jump in, our teen poetry creative writing summer camp that we held, normally it is only open to kids in the region who, are within driving distance. But because we were able to open it up, we had one participate from Shanghai. Actually, I'm sorry, that's our online literary journal. I'm confusing those two. But we had an all teen issue of our online literary journal that was guest edited by teens, and that all the work is by teens. And for our live Zoom event, we had participation from Shanghai and the UK simultaneously. So different ends of the clock. And I see a comment in there, if you don't mind, but somebody asked about live transcription. And I don't know if you guys know about rev.com. It's $20 a month. It essentially live streams the speech from your live event to their AI software, but it does provide live real-time captions. Not always great, but you can, before it becomes public, you can always go in and edit the transcripts.
So is that called Web?
No, Rev, R-E-V.
Oh, Rev.
Rev. I've been trying to, research other options. It's not necessarily the best option, but Zoom has a special kind of platform for their, to have the live transcription, something called REST API, I think it is. And there aren't very many services that work with that are real easy to set up. But rev.com is really easy if all you're looking for is real-time subtitles or captions. And also anybody who wants, Inlandia, we are part of the greater LA area. So, and we have an email list of about 2,800 people. If you want to get the word out to people out this direction, commute's not a problem anymore. So just send it to me, and we have weekly newsletters that go out.
Yeah, I'm very happy to publicize any of your events. Anyone here.
I wanted to mention that the California Arts Council has a relief fund for artists and cultural practitioners, and their deadline is August 18th. That's next Tuesday. for anybody who would like to apply for that. It's unrestricted $1,000 rapid relief grants. And they say it's a quick application process. So hopefully that's true. And I just want to be sure to mention that.
Is that for individuals? It's for individuals, right? Not organizations.
Yes, it's for individuals. Yes, individual artists. And then there are other resources available. Poets and writers staff, editorial staff is updating always a list on pw.org called Resources for Writers in the Time of Coronavirus. So if you're looking for other things of that nature, that's one of the lists that you can check. I think a lot of places are putting out lists, but that's one of them. So in closing, I just want to thank you all for your time and sharing with each other the challenges, the silver linings, resources. I think, you know, I've learned a lot. I'm probably gonna be emailing Toby a lot about other platforms. But thank you so much. I will send out the chat if I can get it in a good form, and I will send out a roster. And I hope that you'll join us for future town halls. And I also want to just thank you all for the incredible work that each of you is doing. And I hope that you stay safe and sane and inspired.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you so much.
Jamie.
Thank you, Jamie, for having us.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Jamie.